Welcome to the Live Your Dreams podcast, where success leaves clues and someone has your answer. Joined as always with my lovely co-host. Well, again, 2 weeks straight, my co-host is not here. But last week we did have Take Charge in the building, stepping in. And again, so grateful for Take Charge, giving his time and giving some of his, words. So really appreciate that. But today, someone asked me over the week. First, before I get started, I want to say a great job. We changed the lights here, so I want to give a shout out to Mo for changing the lights, making it look nice here. So I really like this setup, so thanks for that. But again, we were talking last week. I had Take Charge in, and I went over the 10 basic fears, and this was a study done by a psychologist. But what I wanted to do, someone said, hey, how do you deal with stress? Or how do you overcome stress? So I wanted to talk about that today, how to overcome stress. And I wanted to really go in today on how and get practical. Because again, this is the Live Your Dreams podcast where success leaves clues. Someone has your answer. Today, I want to have someone's answer today, and I want to help somebody. So I brought some of the things on how you deal with stress. This is one of the things with, and I'm going to go over, we talked about the 10 fears from a psychologist, but this is one of my favorite books. I bought a couple of my favorite books today. The one I'll start with first, this is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So definitely a good read I would suggest for everyone. But we're talking about how to overcome stress. I'm going to take my glasses off. And that's funny, I take my glasses off to read. But here are the 6 basic fears. And we're talking about overcoming stress, and this is how you do it. First, Napoleon Hill said at the bottom of most of one's worries are these 3 fears. The fear of poverty, and I've definitely suffered with that. The fear of criticism, I definitely suffered with that. The fear of ill health, I definitely suffered with that. That's the bottom of most of one's worries. Also, the fear of loss of love of someone, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. Now, it's a funny thing, and it's a reason why he put the bottom of most worries are the 3 critical. Now, the fear of poverty, I've dealt with that. And I think when this podcast I talked about that I really thought in my brain sincerely that I was going to lose everything. And I sincerely thought, poverty was just right around the corner for me. But that's a fear that you can overcome. I have done it. If you keep listening to the podcast, I'll keep telling you how. But that's definitely a fear that you can overcome. One of the things with the fear of poverty, it's some things you could put in place. And you could go into faith and a couple of other things that can help you with the fear of poverty. But one of the things is just working hard. Really getting into your skill set to become better, because that definitely overcomes poverty. Next is the fear of criticism. Like these glasses. I wear my glasses at nighttime when I'm driving. I had them on now because I really had a long day today. And usually when I have a long day, the bags start coming under my eyes. That's a fear of criticism. I don't want somebody to say, wow, he looks tired, right? That's a fear of criticism. That's a worry. But is it really that important of a worry? We're going to get into this. Trust me, I'm going to have somebody's answer today. The fear of ill health. Now, that's a serious one. I never forget when my mom passed away. I really sincerely thought I was going to die of colon cancer. And one of the things, and because my mom died of colon cancer, my grandmother had the same fate. So I thought it was genetic, and I thought it was going to be my fate also. One of the things, and this is a true story. I went to see a doctor, and I was crying. I was in tears because I was fear. It was fear. That's a worry. It was the fear of ill health is serious. That's a serious fear. So, but it's one that you can overcome because I've done it. But one of the things, I was crying at the doctor's, and I said, hey, I'm going to die of colon cancer. And the doctor looked at me and he said, look, you don't have to die of colon cancer. And this is a doctor. This isn't me talking. This is a medical doctor that was trained. He said, you don't have to die of colon cancer. I want you to know. He empowered me. He said, I want you to know that colon cancer is one of the most preventable cancers that they have. And I couldn't believe this because I was uneducated on colon cancer. I was uneducated. So I couldn't believe the words he was saying out of his mouth because my mom had just died of colon cancer. So I thought for sure what this doctor was saying couldn't be true. So he said, look, you're 35 years old. You're African American. You rate a colonoscopy because you have a high risk in your family. So at 35, I took my first colonoscopy. I've had 3 so far. I took my first colonoscopy, and painless process, and now the prep has gotten even easier, but they did find a large polyp. Now, if that polyp would have went unaddressed for now going on 15 years, there's no telling what could have happened. And I could have went to that fate. But since I had that education and knowledge, I'm telling you, that feeling I have had 3 colonoscopies, it's an amazing feeling. So overcoming that fear of ill health, it's possible. But one of the things, it does take knowledge. It does take some type of commitment on your part because you do have to make sure you're going to the doctors and make sure that you're doing the parts that you have to do to ensure that you can overcome that. So let's go back over those 3. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, and the fear of ill health. Now, also, those are at the bottom of most of one's worries. Now, again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a trained therapist. I'm just telling you some of the things that I went through. And again, this is the Live Your Dreams podcast where success leaves clues and someone has your answer. I just want to have someone's answer. Now, the fear of criticism, I had some great mentors and have some great mentors. But one of the things that helped me with that is that you have to be freed from the opinions of others. Now, how do you get free from the opinions of others? It's not easy. So I don't want to say that that's something that's easy. It's just a switch you click on. But one of the things is you have to realize that you do have to be freed from the opinions of others in order to avoid some of the stress that we add to our own life. Because one of the things one of my mentors said is that, hey, you are the writer, the director, and producer of your own hit show. You can be the starring character of your own show, or you could be the supporting cast of someone else's. The choice is up to you. So when he said that to me, it clicked a bell that the fear of criticism is something that I'm putting on myself. The fear of ill health is something that I'm putting on myself. The fear of poverty is something that I'm putting on myself. And those 3 are at the bottom of most worries. So that's one of the things that I realized that, hey, some of this is me. Not saying that it's all, because I know that some of the things that people go through is serious. I know that, and I'm not making light of that. But what I'm trying to get the point across is that some of this is controllable on my part. And some of this I can take control of. When it comes to the fear of poverty, I can overcome that. When it comes to the fear of criticism, I can overcome that. When it comes to the fear of ill health, I can overcome that. Now, some things are uncontrollable, and we have to understand that some things are uncontrollable no matter what you do. But we do have a say on some of this. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I just want to stop for my sponsors real quick, and then we'll come right back to it. So Short Child Care, short name, long in service. That was Tom Short's quote. And again, ladies and gentlemen, the number is on your screen. Please call that number today if you need child care. There is a waiting list, but do put your child's name on the waiting list because spots do fill quick. But again, Short Child Care, shortened name, long in service. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, Short Child Care, shortened name, long in service. So ladies and gentlemen, again, just to recap the fears by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health at the bottom of most of one's worries. And again, the fear loss of love of someone, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. Now, one of the things is that's some of the things that are fear, and that's some of the things that cause worries. But what I want to get into is some of the solutions or some of the things that I've done to overcome some of the stress. And again, I'm not perfect, but one of the things I do every day is constantly prepare myself for some of the things that could happen. Now, here's another book. Now, this book, I was reading Think and Grow Rich for, the longest time. But this is a book that Tom introduced me to maybe 20 plus years ago. This was The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. I just want to read something real quick. Now, these scrolls, he wrote this in a manner where it's like scrolls. But scroll mark number 3, it says, I will persist until I succeed. In the Orient, young bulls are tested for the fight arena in a certain manner. Each is brought to the ring and allowed to attack a picada who pricks them with a lance. The bravery of each bull is then rated with care according to the number of times he demonstrates his willingness to charge in spite of the sting of the blade. Henceforth, will I recognize that each day I am tested by life in like manner. If I persist, if I continue to try, if I continue to charge forward, I will succeed. I will persist until I succeed. I was not delivered into the world in defeat, nor does failure course in my veins. I am not a sheep waiting to be prodded by my shepherd. I am a lion, and I refuse to talk, to walk, to sleep with the sheep. I will hear not those who weep and complain, for their disease is contagious. Let them join the sheep. The slaughterhouse of failure is not my destiny. I will persist until I succeed. Now, one thing Tom used to always say to me, and he would say this almost every day, he would sum that part up. He would say, I will not eat meat or sleep with the sheep, for the slaughterhouse of defeat is not my destiny. Now, one of the things is if you're constantly telling yourself things like this, it helps you overcome some of those fears that you might deal with. It's certain things you do daily. One of the things that I do, and again, I don't push religion on anyone. You do you. But this book, I do read this book every day, the Bible. Like what I do, if it's the first of the month, I'll read Proverbs 1. If it's the second of the month, I'll read Proverbs 2. If it's the third day of the month, I'll read Proverbs 3, and so forth. So every day I'm getting something in me in the morning that kind of pumps me up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next thing that I do, like every day, and I don't push religion on no one. You do you, but I do read the Bible every day. If it's the first of the month, I'll read Proverbs 1. If it's the second of the month, I'll read Proverbs 2. If it's the third of the month, I'll read Proverbs 3. And I'll do that first thing in the morning. But this, and Tom and I talked about this part a lot. And he mastered this. But it says, brothers, I do not consider that I have made it my own. But one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus, right? So one thing that I know Tom did very well, and I work hard to do, is forgetting some of the flaws or some of the things that I may have not done that was completely 100% correct, but not letting it hold me back where I'm constantly reminding myself of some of the things that I didn't do right. Being able to move forward, although sometimes I may not have done what I thought was the right thing, because I'm a human being and we're all human beings. So sometimes you have to realize that sometimes you're just going to miss the mark, right? It's just going to happen. No matter how well prepared you are, sometimes you're just going to miss the mark. But you have to be okay with yourself. Hold on, let me put my glasses back on for the fear of criticism. But that's one of the things, is that sometimes you miss the mark, but you still have to realize that, hey, today's a new day. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not promised. All you have is right now. Tomorrow is not promised. Life is short. So one of the things you have to realize, you want to get as much enjoyment out of life as possible, because again, tomorrow is not promised. So ladies and gentlemen, again, hopefully this helps someone. Again, I know stress is real. I know for a fact that, sometimes life becomes challenging for us, but sometimes you just got to understand that if you made it through what you did yesterday, it's a great probability you're going to make it through what you're going through today. Right? And I'm going to say that one more time. If you made it through what you went through yesterday, it's a great probability you're going to make it through what you're going through today. But ladies and gentlemen, one of the things you got to realize, if you do, I'll see you. And yes, I do mean you, living your dreams. Peace.